Hey, this is Ben, and for today's edition of React Hacks, I want to show you this custom video player that I've added to one of my portfolio projects. So if you click on this video player, we're going to have this skeleton do a little dance for you. This is a application I built to create Halloween costumes, so I thought a dancing skeleton seemed to fit the theme of it pretty well. Let me take you through the features, and the first thing I'm going to do is lower the volume so you can hear me a little bit more clearly. And then we can adjust the playback rate. So now the skeleton is dancing more quickly, or really the video is just playing more quickly. I have these skip buttons so we can go back by 10 seconds, or skip ahead 25 seconds. And then I want to point out this play and pause button, which will change whether or not or depending on if the video is playing or paused, but the button also works as well. Oh yeah, and then you have this little scrub feature, so I can just kind of point to another point on this progress bar, and then we will set the current time of the video to wherever I clicked on the progress bar, and the skeleton is making me laugh a little bit. I first built this project using vanilla JavaScript, and to grab a DOM element, of which there's like half a dozen in this thing, I just did query selector and then typed in the name of the class or of the tag. But in React, it's a little bit more complicated, and because I had to do that over and over again, and add to that there's a bunch of functions and event listeners, this isn't a very complex project, but there's a lot of work you had to do. So let's pause the video and take a quick look at the code. And I'm first going to show you how I accessed a DOM element, and I'm going to use the video tag as an example. So I'm going to save to this variable called video ref a hook called useRef, and that's going to create a reference object. So that's step one. Step two is to go to the DOM element itself, which is the video tag in this case, add an attribute called ref, and then pass it that reference object called video reference. That's step two. And step three occurs inside this useEffect hook, and that's going to take this variable I've called video and assign it to the element that is containing that reference object. And you can see I've done this over and over again because I've got the progress bar, the buttons, the inputs, so that was a lot of work just to grab a DOM element, but now we have them. So the next step after I've grabbed the DOM elements is to add the event listeners. And the video tag is going to toggle play when you click on it. It will update the button depending on if the video is playing or is paused, and then it will run this handle progress function to update the progress bar. So toggle play is going to check if the video is paused. If that's the case, then we'll play, otherwise we'll pause. Update button is going to use the ternary operator to check for the same conditional. So if the video is paused, if that's true, then we will print the play button. If video paused is false, then we'll print the pause button. We'll access the text content of the play button and set it to that icon, whatever was returned from this ternary operator. For the progress bar, we're going to start with this mouse down variable, which is automatically set to false. But when you click on that progress bar, we're going to evaluate mouse down to true. That way, when you move the mouse and you click on the progress bar, we're going to invoke this function called scrub. And scrub is going to do a little bit of math, taking the location of where you clicked on the progress bar using offset x, and once we've done that math, we're going to take what we've calculated and set it to the current time of the video, so we can move ahead or backwards just depending on where you clicked on the progress bar. For the play button, that's going to invoke toggle play. We've already looked at that. And for my two input tags, those ranges, we're going to invoke handle range update when you change the value of the input tag and when the mouse moves. And the neat thing about this is the name of each input tag, volume, and playback rate correspond to a property of the video that I'm looking to update. So for the handle range update, I'm going to access the property of that video using the name from the input tag, and then I'm going to set the value to whatever the value is from that input tag. And then lastly, we have the skip buttons. And the cool thing about these ones is I'm using this custom attribute called data-skip, and each one has a value of assigned to it, either -10 to go backwards 10 seconds or 25 to go ahead 25 seconds. And we'll invoke this function called skip. And skip is going to look for the value inside of that data attribute using dataset.skip, and then adjust the time of the video according to that value. So that takes you through all the features of this custom video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow.